Good evening. Today is Monday, May 24th, 2021. Welcome to this evening's regular meeting of the Oregon City Council. Let's begin tonight's meeting by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council for attendance this evening?
Mr. Davish?
Here.
Mr. Horniak?
Here.
Mrs. Pavlov? Here. Mr. Reeves?
Here.
Mr. Seaman?
Here.
Mr. Wallensack?
Here.
Mr. Zale?
Here. Thank you. Please note that all members of council are present this evening. Also joining us are Clerk of Council, Ms. Tina Evans, Mayor Mike Safarian, City Administrator, Mr. Michael Beasley, Law Director, Melissa Pora, our Public Service Director, Mr. Paul Roman, Finance Director, Ms. Darlene Huntermark, Police Chief, Mr. Brandon Began, Fire Chief, Mr. Denny Hartman, Assistant Fire Chief, Mr. Mark Mullins, and Assistant Chief of Training, Jim Wolf. Council, we have nobody signed up to speak before us for persons and delegations. So our first order of business will be the approval of the meeting minutes from the May 10th, 2021 regular meeting of council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Seaman.
I move we accept the regular minutes from the May 10th, 2021 regular council meeting as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reeves. Council, any objections? Here, no objections. The meeting minutes from the May 10th, 2021 regular council meeting are approved as submitted. Council, before we get to the items for passage this evening, we do have a couple hires. I'm going to hand it over to the mayor to take care of those. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council. You see the correspondence in front of you for the fire department and the police department. And I'm going to start with the appointments in the fire department. And I'm going to ask council's concurrence in the appointment of two individuals. The first one is Mr. Kyle Schilke of 10404 Jerusalem Road, Oregon, Ohio, 43412. It's a mailing address, but I'm sure that's not in Oregon. And I'm going to ask council's concurrence in the appointment of Kyle to the position of firefighter 2, step 1, $24.31 per hour, annual rate of $63,216.92. And this appointment is effective as of June 14th, 2021. And once again, I ask council's concurrence in the appointment of Mr. Kyle Schilke to firefighter 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move to concur with the mayor on the appointment of Kyle Schilke to firefighter 2.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Paul. Council, is there any objections? Here, no objections. Where Mayor, council concurs with the appointment of Mr. Kyle Schilke to the position of firefighter number 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, council. And next, the second hire, I would ask council's concurrence in the appointment of Mr. John Myers of 6315 Corduroy Road, Oregon, 43616 to the position of firefighter 2, step 1, $24.31 an hour, $63,216.92. And this appointment also will have a startup date of June 14th, 2021. And I'd ask council's concurrence in the appointment, once again, of Mr. John Myers.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move to concur with the mayor on the appointment of John Myers as a firefighter 2 for the city of Oregon.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Council, is there any objections? Here, no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the appointment of Mr. John Myers as firefighter firefighter 2.
Thank you. And now we'll shift over to the police department. And once again, I'll ask council's concurrence in two individuals as new hires and new police officers. The first one, Jordan Sines, and I will ask council to concur with the appointment of new officer, step 1 of the OPPA, annual salary $57,000. Sorry about that. $57,948.80, which is hourly rate of $27.86. Something's wrong here. When the other one was 24. Oh, that's why. Okay. Glad you brought that up. So once again, the appointment of Jordan Sines, effective June 11th, 2021, to the position of police officer, step 1. And I'd ask council's concurrence again in the appointment of Jordan Sines.
Thank you, Mayor. Council. Yes, Mr. Zale. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Polliff. Council, any objections? Here are no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the appointment of Jordan Sines as a new police officer.
Next officer would be Dana Greiner, and the effective date is also June 11th, 2021. Step 1 OPPA, salary $57,948.80, hourly rate $27.86 an hour. As council's concurrence in the appointment of Dana Greiner.
Thank you, Mayor, council. Mr. Zale. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Polliff. Council, is there any objections? Here are no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the appointment of Ms. Dana Kreiner as a police officer in the city of Oregon.
And Mr. President, I believe a couple of those individuals are here. If you want to stand up, we usually require, especially the police officers, like 15, 20 minutes to give us a little background about themselves. Or 37 seconds will be fine. So who's going first? All right, good.
Hi, my name is Dana Kreiner. I recently graduated from the University of Toledo with a bachelor's in criminal justice. And I also just recently graduated from Police Academy both in December. In my free time, I enjoy going to the gym, and I also brought my whole family with me. It's great to meet you all.
All right.
Congratulations.
I seen John Myers here. I don't know.
He's right over here.
All right. Well,
Man of many words.
looking forward to.
Yeah. John, congratulations. And that's it. Now, we will continue with our council meeting. You guys do not have to stay, but you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If not, it's nice meeting you guys. Congratulations. Yeah, if you want to. That's for everybody. That's right. Just leave me enough that we can run the meeting.
Down, let us know how it turns out.
All right, council, we'll continue now with the items for passage. We added a couple items to this evening's agenda, so we will need to add items 64 and 65 of 2021 to this evening's agenda. Can I get a motion for that, please?
So move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Second by Mr. Reeves. Council, is there any objections? Here are no objections. Items number 64 and 65 of 2021 are added to this evening's agenda. Items number 61 through 63, we did speak about those last week at our committee of the whole meeting. And then we'll start with item number 61 of 2021. And I'll ask council, are there any questions for the administration on item number 61 of 2021? Here are no questions. I'll assign item number 61 with ordinance number 61 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into a contract with Irene Renee Jardy to act as case manager to the Juvenile Diversion Achieve Program.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council. Mr. Zale. No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Polliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 61 of 2021?
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Mrs. Polliff?
Yes.
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzeck?
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 61 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to item number 62 of 2021. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 62 of 2021? Hearing no questions, I will sign item number 62 with ordinance number 62 of 2021. And again, ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into an agreement with Superior Uniforms 909 Phillips Avenue, Toledo, Ohio, to provide police uniforms and supplies as required by the collective bargaining agreements entered into between the police unions, OPPA and FOP, in the city of Oregon.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Zale.
I move for passage of ordinance 62, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Poliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 62 of 2021?
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Mrs. Poliff?
Yes.
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzek?
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 62 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays. Council, is there any questions on item number 63 of 2021? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item number 63 with ordinance number 63 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to enter into an agreement with Arcadis US Incorporated, 1 Seagate, Suite 700, Toledo, Ohio, to provide professional engineering services for final design and bidding for the Oregon wastewater treatment plant ultraviolet disinfection system and grit removal improvements in an amount not to exceed $596,000 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Poliff.
I move for passage of ordinance number 63 of 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Poliff. Second by Mr. Reeves. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 63 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mrs. Poliff?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzek?
Yes.
Mr. Zale?
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 63 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to item number 64 of 2021. Item number 64 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Law Director Melissa Purpura. We're going to directly to Ms. Purpura.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is to enter into an agreement with the Treatment Accountability for Safer Communities of Northwest Ohio, also known as TASC. TASC provides assessments and evaluations for individuals that have been charged with criminal offenses through the Oregon Municipal Court. They provide evaluations for individuals struggling with the addiction of alcohol and drugs. They provide this evaluation and help assist the court in the proper type of treatment for these individuals. It's been very cost effective. They've done a great job working with local courts in the Lucas County area. Their rate is $96.24 per hour. This was included in the 2021 municipal budget. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Purpura. Councilors, are there any questions for the administration on item number 64 of 2021? Hearing no question, I'll sign item number 64 with ordinance number 64 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into an agreement with the Treatment Accountability for Safer Communities of Northwest Ohio for the assessment and evaluation for alcohol and drug treatment and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council. Yes, Mr. Zale. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Poliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 64 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Zale? Mrs. Poliff?
Yes.
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzek?
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 64 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to the last item this evening. Item number 65 of 2021 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Fire Chief Mr. Dennis Hartman. I'm going to go directly to Chief Hartman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mayor. The turnout gear, the complete set of turnout gear that each firefighter has has a shelf life of 10 years. Even though oftentimes at 10 years they look good, they are no longer considered viable after the 10-year period. Each firefighter must have two complete sets of turnout gear. So yeah, obviously it's a rather large expense. We try to buy 10 sets every year. And these are actually ordered last year. However, with all the pandemic, et cetera, it was we weren't able to get them till now. And so this is for 10 sets of turnout gear for our regular replacement plan. And we will be back at you in a month or two because we're going to have to order when we hire all of our new hires. So if there's any questions about that, otherwise this is basically a pretty regular expense.
Thank you.
It's just getting way more expensive.
Thank you, Chief Hartman. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 65 of 2021? Here, no questions. I'll sign item number 65 with ordinance number 65 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to purchase turnout gear for the fire department personnel from Phoenix Safety Outfitters, P.O. Box 20445, Upper Arlington, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $29,310 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zale.
I move for passage of ordinance 65, 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Poliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 65 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Mrs. Poliff?
Yes.
Mr. Davish?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzeck?
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 65 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays. That ends the items for consideration and passage this evening, and we will move to the mayor's report. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just finishing my report, we had hirings earlier today, now we have some retirings and resignations. So I'm going to ask council's concurrence in accepting these two individuals from the police department. And first, ask council's concurrence in accepting Brandon Dean's resignation letter effective May 13th, 2021. And it asks council's concurrence in accepting them.
Thank you, Mayor. Council. Mr. Zale. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Poliff. Council, is there any objections? Here are no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the acceptance of the resignation of Brandon Dean from the police department.
And next, after 28 years and 4 months of service, Assistant Chief Chris Bliss is choosing to retire, I think, into Oklahoma.
Correct.
And his resignation for retirement would be June 19th, 2021. And I would ask council's concurrence in the acceptance of the retirement resignation of Chris Bliss and wish him all well on his endeavors to Oklahoma.
Thank you, Mayor. Council. Yes, Mr. Zale. Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Second.
Second by Ms. Poliff. Council, is there any objections? Here are no objections. Mayor, council concurs with the acceptance of the retirement resignation of Assistant Chief Chris Bliss.
With that, I would, for this time, conclude my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Beasley.
Mr. President, members, just a note, I want to wish Chris the best as he moves into retirement. He's been an important part of the team here for a long time. Also, just we did have the police and fire and city memorial this weekend on Sunday, and it was good to be convening again with people. I did want to note, I thought the front looked really nice. The folks from Streets did a good job, and the crew, I just want to thank them for their work, keeping those plants healthy. Although the mayor and I were watching a rabbit with
He's eating away the
Eating away
We
the
were
plants
planting 'em.
pretty quick right out front with Marvin out there, and not much we could do about it. The rabbit didn't seem to care when we knocked on the window, so there's
We
only
thought
so much you
Marvin
can
brought
do.
it.
Yes, I did.
All right. Thanks.
He's usually killing rabbits.
You gardeners can give the best advice on it. I think Jim and Tim and Paul are the top gardeners. Give us advice down the way.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Ms. Purpura.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Purpura. Mr. Roman.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Mr. Reeves. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Mr. Zale.
Yes, Mr. President, we did talk to Perrysburg of what they're doing, and they're we're looking at a couple of options. We do have a pretty solid recycling program that runs through it. Glass is one of the things they recycle with it. We're trying to figure out if there's a practical way to kind of carve that out a little bit in an easier way. So we're waiting for some feedback from solid waste as well.
Thank you, Mr. Zale. Mr. Seaman.
Yes, we had a great turnout at the plant exchange last week. A lot of people enjoyed themselves, and we had a tremendous team effort from the city team and from a lot of citizen volunteers. Tina Evans did especially good job coordinating all the efforts. And this June 2nd, we're going to have the first farmers market food truck, so that can be very enjoyable. And again, it's on Dustin Road. Some people haven't heard about it now. We just had discussed it. That site turned out real well for the planners. So we're really happy about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
We had that report last week. You weren't here.
Mr. Davish.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Davish. Ms. Pauloff.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff. Mr. Horniak.
Mr. President, thank you. Just wanted to say yesterday's memorial service was very well done to both of our chiefs. Thank you for those involved in pulling that together. Always a nice event, always a nice community thing. And yesterday was no exception. So great job to everybody involved. Just an update or a question, if anybody has any direct knowledge to report to it. Obviously, we had a tournament going on this weekend. Any feedback from how it went, how people liked it and enjoyed it?
That's actually the second or third weekend that we've had tournaments here and had tremendous turnout at the tournaments. The tournament director that is coming to the city of Oregon loves our complex. He wants to continue to bring tournaments here. I think he does a good job running tournaments, and he likes what we provide for him. He doesn't have to worry about it getting any diamonds ready. We have people there ready to move game to game, move the bases and pitchers mounds as they need. It's a clean complex. He's very happy with what he gets out of the Oregon Recreation Complex.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I got a number of complaints actually about the heat though yesterday from parents that I talked to.
You're working on that?
Yeah. Council has to take care of that. That's legislative authority.
Are you proposing a dome over our complex?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I had some great feedback in response from some business owners and restaurant owners in the area as far as the increased traffic and the increased business to their coffers for the weekend. So a lot of great response from the community as well.
Mr. President, just a note, with Summer asked Summer last week, just after the last tournament, and she said, obviously, most of these folks are driving in with their families, but there's some extra hotel beds and stuff coming as well with it. So we just want to be awareness of it.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. And I have nothing from my standing committee. Therefore, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reeves. Council, is there any objections? Here are no objections. Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go there.